everybody, I hope you can see me now and I'm not round the wrong way now. If you saw me before, I apologise. The camera did its own thing. Hi, I'm Emily and I'm here from the Outside Bride this evening without my co-partner. For those of you who don't know, Alan has left me for 11 days. 11 days to go and trek the Trail de Mont Blanc in Chamonix, and he's meant to be having an amazing time. He sent me loads. Hi Hannah, he sent me loads of pictures already of him doing a lot of this with a mountain vista. Oh, he's online now as well. Technically, Alan, if you're online, you could screen share with me now and actually could be an Ask an Expert. I'm not going to hold you to it. I'm sure you've had a few jars by now, so you probably won't be able to speak anyway. But just saying, if you wanted to screen share, you could do so. I also apologise about this lighting this evening. It's all a bit funny in here. I've tried my hardest. I really was going to be outside. The cold didn't affect me this evening. The lighting outside didn't affect me this evening. What beat me this evening was the fact that the workmen next door are still working at 8 o'clock in the evening, banging around, and the noise is counteracting the sunshine outside. So you have me indoors, I'm afraid. Hi, Hannah. But anyway, I hope you're well. We've had a good few more followers this week. It's been lovely to see you all joining the group. So a big welcome if you're new to the group. Like I said, usually we have a Hawaiian shirted man here, and he's usually a bit gobby, and yeah, he would be waving at you and talking a load of tosh, but he's not, so you've just got me. My week so far, aside from getting all the 3 kids to sleep before 20 past 7 today, miracle, has involved gin. This evening I am drinking a greenhorse gin with a bit of grapefruit in it because it's one of my favourites. I love a bit of grapefruit. But I've been testing a few to be talking about on the gin blog, and the lovely Jane from the Thirsty Foal has also started her part of the gin blog as well. So the next instalment will be coming out at the weekend. So if you haven't checked it out, do check it out. It's going to be awesome. The other things I've got to talk about, I went on a hen do. Yeah, at the weekend I went to a very good friend of mine's hen do, and I have to say it probably was one of the most civilised, it's probably the best word, civilised, sober hen do's I've ever been to. We had a lovely perfume making workshop. I have to confess, although it was a lovely workshop, it was 3 hours long, we smelled a lot of smells, and I think I created a perfume that I named Eau de Ming at the end of it because it smelled quite a lot like toilet cleaner, so I don't think I'll be wearing that. Maybe a room spray in the bathroom, I don't know, excuse me, let's do that. That was interesting. We also have, I've got another wedding this weekend. Yeah, Alan has left me in a busy week. We've got a Goodwood job tomorrow, and we are setting up for a wedding on Friday, and I'm event managing a wedding on Saturday as well. So we are hoping the sun gods make sure they stay out, because there are a few black clouds coming up on the weather forecast right now, but should be okay, hopefully. What else have I got to say this week? Oh, going back to gin, because I do like to talk about gin quite a lot. I tried an immense cocktail at the weekend. It's called the Laverstock, and if anyone's been to the Bombay Sapphire Distillery, it's one of their signature cocktails, and I tried it for the first time at the hen do, and I have to say I'm going to be making a lot going through into the autumn. It's a really lovely autumnal drink as well. So stay tuned for that, because I'm going to put the recipe in the blog. But basically it was gin, ginger beer, elderflower and vermouth in it, and it was spectacular. So I will make sure I put the link to that in the blog as well. Right, there's a couple of you on, so I'm going to carry on. We do have one question this week. It's quite a big question, and we've covered parts of it before in various Ask an Experts in the past. But I do think, especially as there are quite a few newbies in the group as well, it's never hurts to go through stuff we've covered, because actually it's kind of fundamental to your wedding planning. And one of them, what it is what Becca's written, how do you decide to lay everything out, or where to lay everything out? We've got a huge fire pit with seating in the middle of the field, but it kind of makes sense to centre everything around there, but I don't want guests turning up and just seeing the backs of tents. And B, it's a huge field and I need to utilise this space without it looking lost. Is there some kind of formula I can use to find the perfect layout? Yes, so I keep getting, I'm never popular, never ever popular, but tonight, for whatever reason, I've had about 6 notifications all at the same time, all on the same thread, so I have to make sure I can read that afterwards. So anyway, the question is, so Alan's written, Obs, hello from Les Houches. Les Houches? Les Houches? Yes. So the question of layout is a really, really important one, and one we stress so much when it comes to what to do with a blank canvas. And blank canvases, although amazing, can be quite stressful as well, because you have so much to think about and you can really overthink it when you're trying to think, I must fill all available space, when actually you really don't. It's all about zoning, and zoning it well, and thinking about making really good decisions about where you put things. Becca in this has said she's not actually having her ceremony on site. Her ceremony is elsewhere, so this is literally for the reception. With that in mind, it's really important to make sure that your layouts are, because it can be quite fast paced. When you go from a ceremony elsewhere to people arriving, especially if the core wedding party, best men, bridegroom, family are still in that kind of transit, you might find that when you get to the site, it's all a bit, hell of a lever, because people who are in charge aren't necessarily there to make sure people are in the right place. Things like parking, making sure that people are in their area that you want them parked, making sure that they're not standing in an area that you don't want to open up to the guests yet, all that kind of stuff. So it's making sure that you signpost really well, making sure that you have got designated areas for everything put down, and you really make those choices first and think about the timeline of the day and how you want the day to flow firsthand before you get to the actual day. It's all very well saying, I've got this massive field, I'm just going to chuck some stuff in and leave it to it, it's all going to be relaxed and free flowing. You do need to have a little bit of structure, especially so as well if you have a ceremony on site as well, because you do want to keep that very separate to your main party area. Hannah's got, going into autumn, less is more, so the trend seems to be this year. Yeah, less is definitely more. I can't agree more with that. Literally, when you think of your field, forget the prettiness and all that kind of stuff, that comes second. The things to think about when you are choosing your fields, I'm just going to put up this evening's Ask an Expert on here so I can see any comments, because I'm struggling to read comments. Am I there? There I am. Lovely. So if you see any comments, I can read them now. Perfect. Yeah. Things you think about when you choose your site, more so that even when you're thinking about it, when you're trying to select where to go, things to think about are, where's your structure going to go? Where are your cars going to go? What view you want to have of the day? If you're sitting and having a sit-down meal and you've got, and Alan bangs on this every single week, and he's actually going to do a piece on this when he gets back, the layout of your marquee, and thinking about windows, if you've got windows or you've got open sides, and that, what view you want to have. For example, in our wedding, when we were getting married in Dorset, we really wanted to see the Isle of Wight that way, overlooking the sea, and that way was Corfe Castle, so we made sure that our top table was laid out with the view that way, so when we ate our dinner we could see the view. Making sure that cars aren't necessarily parked in front of that view, so you're not running with photographs when you've got lovely scenery and then a load of transit vans and suppliers and wedding cars and all that kind of stuff in your way. So thinking about placing things so things that are ugly aren't in view, but also logistics of getting those things on and off site. If you're lucky, like we've had this summer, the ground's been fantastically dry and you can get things to A to B really no problem at all. But think about if you get a really waterlogged couple of days and your grass is boggy, and we had this at the beginning of the year, I was mentioning we had a wedding that we actually couldn't get onto site for in the end because the field was that much in water. Think about the shortest possible distance that you're going to have to put your cars onto the ground, because you don't want them churning up the ground, you don't want to have people in their nice finery having to push cars out over and over and over again, getting covered and splattered in mud. So think about the shortest distance they can go to get parked onto almost a hard standing, and if they're going to have to get put onto the field, making sure you think about the slope of the ground, so if they do have to get pushed out, you're not pushing against the grain. So then think about, so we thought about where your marquee is going to go and your structure, making sure you've got a nice view, making sure your cars aren't in view, but also think about zoning the day. So for example, I helped Sylvie, and I think Sylvie's still in this group. Sylvie's wedding was a couple of weeks ago, and it was all on one site, and the site was huge. It was acres, massive field. But she really thought about the zoning of the day, so they had their ceremony on one side of the field, and it was in a little avenue of trees, and they had hay bales there, and then they had their ceremony over here. And then marquee, which they didn't actually use, they really didn't want to have a marquee for the day, it was just for in case of rain, was the other side. But what they did, they thought about the flow of the day, so they started with the ceremony here. After the ceremony finished, the guests all got kind of moved to the next zone. That's where they had an aperitif tent, and they had canapes, and they had it was a bit of a twisted topsy-turvy day. They had speeches then. during canapes and drinks. And then after that, they moved their hay bales across to the main part of like the open space in the field. And then they had, just like the evening, they had the music on, they had, it was all relaxed, like self-serve food. They had a lot of Jamaican, French kind of cuisine. It was amazing. They had a lot of jerk chicken and goat curry, and everyone was self-serving in the middle. And that's kind of, they wanted the relaxed kind of feel in the middle, but everyone was there together. And then in the evening, they lit a bonfire away from the marquee, but still where people were mingling in that middle zone, but away from, but had the ambience and the feel of having the evening kind of, you know, that kind of magic of having a fire and fireworks and sparklers and stuff. But what they really did well was that journey and flow of the day meant that everyone was in the place they wanted them without people getting lost. And the thing you can find with a field is that if you have a massive space, you do find, like you go to when you go to a hotel and there are 10 rooms and stuff, people kind of go that way. If you have a massive field and it's an open, lovely sunny day, people scatter, and you don't want people to scatter. You kind of want people to stay together. Likewise, if it's pouring down with rain on the day and you've got a marquee, the good thing about having a marquee is that people stay in the marquee, they're not going out away from that main area, so people have that party atmosphere. So it's really about what your day feels like and how you want to structure it. I wouldn't worry too much about using every inch of the field, because people don't see what they, you know, if it's not being used, people aren't going to see that. They're going to see a lovely view. They're not going to go, I would have put a bouncy castle over there, or I would have put a ribbon backdrop there. They're not going to think that. So just think about where your people want to be and keeping them closer together and making the use of that space really, really, really well. And if you get that nailed, everything else is easy. Other things I would consider when you're thinking about your layout. So we've talked about cars coming on and off. The cars that are coming off during the day, which you don't always think about when you're in your early stages of planning, are your suppliers. So again, if you've got a marquee in the middle of the field and you've got your cars behind you, but you've got band, you know, 6-piece band coming on, you might have 2 different types of caterers. You might have a daytime caterer, and you might have a fish and chip band, or an evening caterer coming on. Those vehicles have to come on and off site as well. So think about maybe bringing some post and rail or some bunting or something that can help move cars. They're not going straight through the middle of the wedding. You don't want vehicles like ploughing through a great aunt flow or whatever. You want to make sure that they go around the back or around the front, a big distance around the front, you know, making sure that they don't spoil the view and the atmosphere that's already been created, because they have to get access to the main kind of area. So think about that when you're doing your planning as well. And with that in mind, write down everything that could happen on that day. So when you're doing your template for your timeline and that kind of stuff, think about, I'm going to have X amount of suppliers on that day. What do I need to include? What do I need to make sure that is, you know, they're going to need power? Are they going to need access? What kind of access? Are they going to need more than one vehicle? Are they going to need help getting things on and off? That kind of stuff. Write down everything you possibly think of when it comes to that, and then make your plan around how it's structured through that. Power's a big one as well. Do you want your generator, if you need a generator, do you want that buzzing right in the front? Probably not. You want it further back, away from the main hustle and bustle of people. It's going to be on. You're going to hear a bit of a hum, because even the most silent generators aren't that silent, but you can get that at the back working end of the marquee, teepee, geodesic dome, whatever you're choosing, away from that main kind of vista. Rosie has just written a couple of things. Rosie's written, great top tip for top table position, thank you. And is it worth having a separate supplier car park if there's space? Yes, absolutely have a separate supplier car park, but if that vehicle needs to get onto the site, for example, you have, I'll use the band because it's easier than I can think of. If they've got a drum kit and a guitar and a PA system, they're going to get to the staging area. If they're having stage, they're going to have to come onto site to offload. So thinking about doing that in a slick and, you know, really easy way of doing that is worth thinking about. Most of the time you wouldn't even notice, because again, there's music going on, there's drinks happening, people don't always notice. But if you have got more than one vehicle coming on off site, you really don't want that to spoil your day, or what I said, being a risk if you've got little people running around. So just think about how people are getting in and off the site. Things to consider as well, I keep banging on about cars, but cars are important, because ultimately with a guest list of say 100 or 120, that could be 50, 60 cars you have to manage. Think about things like the access roads going in. Is it easy access to get to? What's the condition like? Are you going to have to get great auntie flow? great Auntie Flo going to be able to get across the field to get to, you know, if she's got mobility access? Think about the ground condition and everything like that. I'm harping back on because there's so many things in my brain. It's such a big question, and actually it really is a whole blinking chapter in itself to discuss your layout, because it's completely bespoke to every single person who's having their day, because every day is so different. But go back to Sylvie's. Sylvie did a really clever thing, and it was of reusing recycling. So she used the hay bales for her ceremony. She had loads of hay bales. It was amazing. But rather than getting two separate ones and setting up, we had the ceremony, and then at the end of that, all like the big birdie guys all picked one up and moved it into the next area. So she was reusing those hay bales rather than having to get two separate lots, which I thought was really clever. So just thinking about quick changes, and like the same with a marquee or a teepee, it's quick changes. If you need to have a ceremony indoors because it's pouring down with rain, how quickly can you turn your marquee around? Can you separate half the dance floor area in your marquee to make sure that you've got people not touching your tables, all that kind of stuff. There's loads you can think about. I will touch a bit more on this next week, because I think there are extra elements we can go into. It all depends, like I said, really what you want from the day. There is no magic formula. I hope that helps a bit, Becca. I think you just need to think simple. Think about your view. Think about the positioning of that marquee, making sure that anything big, noisy, not so pretty, goes on your working end of the tent, and making sure that everything laid out in front of you looks lovely. And try not to spread it too far, because it really, really doesn't matter if you are only using a section of that field. The trees and the shrubs and the greenery around it is its own decoration, really. So just invite that to make that part of your day, rather than having to literally go to everything, because it won't work. You'll stress out. It won't ever look just as you want it, because you're spreading it too thinly. And actually it's just more to clean up at the end of it, so don't worry about it. Anything else coming up? No, I don't think. It's very quiet this evening. Has anyone else got any questions? I have just splurged at you for 20 minutes or so. Anything at all? I don't think so. Right. I might leave it there. It's lovely to see you all this evening. Thank you so much for popping on. It's never the same without my little backup man here. He's lovely, and I do miss it. Even though he's like the most annoying person in the world, he is pretty okay. But yes, I must go and get ready to do Goodwood tomorrow. Yeah, I'm going to enjoy getting in that traffic tomorrow, all the way there and then all the way back. But it should be a good little event for tomorrow, and I'm really looking forward to working. Oh, hang on. Alan wants to come on. There we go. Is he going to come on? He's got bad signal, so let's see if this works. Alan, are you on? I don't know. Oh, it's connecting. We're connecting.
Oh, I don't think it's
Hello.
Yeah.
Look at you made it.
I know. I'm sorry I'm 20 minutes late. You're right.
Yes, we're good. Are you drunk?
I've had a few drinks.
Notice how you came on
say.
And the view count went down.
Oh, did it? I didn't know. You'd said goodbye to everyone.
Well, yeah, and then I said you're coming on, but
well, it only went down 2 to 1, so it wasn't.
How have you got any pearls of wisdom for that little bit of video?
No.
Are you shy?
I'm sorry.
Do you?
It was a very enjoyable live stream, Emily. It was a brilliant live stream. We really enjoyed it.
Cheers, Rosemary.
That's
thanks.
Rosemary, everyone. Rosemary got married on the 25th of August this year, in a hotel wedding though, so indoors. So, but she's okay.
Would you agree,
no?
Would you agree with the we talk about the positioning of the marquee, making sure that your vista is looking great and putting everything behind? Anything else you want to put about that?
Yeah. It's so important to get the layout of the marquee right and have what we've always called your working side and your viewing side, your party side. You know, when you work with your marquee tent company, making sure the windows and the openings are at the view you want to see, and where your head table is, you know, facing that. It's all about what we've always say is what you want to look at as you're getting married, and you know, what your guests are going to enjoy whilst they're there. So no, absolutely.
Right. I am going to leave it there because I think only Hannah is now watching, and
No.
it's because you're on. I think it's because you're on. But thank you very much to Becca for her question for today. Yeah, any other updates? Yeah, we've got some great blogs coming out this week. Hannah is writing another one tomorrow, which is amazing. It's all about getting the most out of your wedding fair, so stay tuned for that. And also enjoy whatever you're drinking this evening, guys.
Yes, I've had beer, wine, then beer, then wine, then beer. So yes.
Good. Right. On that note, everyone. See you next time. Bye.
Bye. Bye.